yeah, all I'm thinking to myself is like, don't mess this up. I mean, that's all I can do in this moment, right? Is all right. So if I don't get off the mound quickly, with a quick out, then now we're giving up some hits or we're walking, and now, I'm getting booed on his big night, which is the last thing that I'm trying to do. So I just wanted to get off the mound as fast as we could.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bronx Backstories. I'm Sweeny Murti. One of the most iconic moments in the Yankees' recent history of this century is certainly Mariano Rivera's final game at Yankee Stadium. And our two guests today had the best seats in the house, the sidelines of history. We welcome in former Yankees catcher John Ryan Murphy and former Yankees pitcher Matt Daley. First question, Murph, is really just what was it like just being in that environment that night?
Incredible. Yankee Stadium, anytime Mariano Rivera's in the game is incredible. But this one was a little bit different. So I remember it being extremely loud. I remember not being able to hear the guys on the mound, what they were saying. Anytime he came out to warm up, the chant would start, Mariano. So as soon as that started, as soon as he came out of the inside to warm up that night, that's when the chant started.
Yeah, it was a very surreal day in general, a surreal game. Like Murph said, it was a playoff atmosphere from pitch one that day. It was as loud as I've ever seen a stadium. I actually got to pitch in the playoffs with the Rockies, and this one took the cake. I mean, the fans were into it from the jump. So I think everybody was kind of a little bit, on eggshells. And, for me as a September call-up that year, had been in AAA most of the year, I thought I was just going to enjoy the day, and I'm staying out of this one. I'm not a part of it. I'm just kind of the eighth man in the bullpen right now, so I'm just going to relax and hang out and just watch Mariano while he does his thing. But me and Murph also had a job to do, which made it a lot tougher to try to, from the dual perspective of taking it in, but also not messing it up for him either.
Murph, did you have any clue that this is how it was going to be orchestrated? Joe Girardi tried to keep it close to the vest, I understand, but until it happened, did you have any clue it was going to happen that way?
No, I didn't know. I don't know if any of the infielders knew, but I certainly didn't know. And so the first time I found out was when Jeter and PettitTe walked out of the dugout. So at that point, the catcher's typically the first guy out to the mound during a pitching change or any mound visit. I certainly wasn't going to be the first guy out there that time as soon as I saw these guys walk out of the dugout. So I kind of stood there and waited to see what everybody else was going to do. And I think Robbie Cano finally waved everybody in. So we kind of inched our way up there, and, I have that picture where I'm just standing there on the side and my jaw's on the ground. So
Matt, you're warming up in the bullpen as Mariano is on. Now, remember, let's remind people, the Yankees are losing this game, so he has to come in the eighth inning to make sure that he gets in. And to get the proper send-off, he has to be removed during the game, and that's why this whole thing was orchestrated that way. But while all this is going on, you're warming up in the bullpen because you're coming in next. How much of this are you able to take in?
I was warming up at the same time as him because Dellin was on the mound, and if Dellin hadn't gotten an out, I was going to come into the game during the eighth inning. So I was just taking all in, like I said before. And it was fun to watch the crowd out in the outfield. They were all hanging over the ledge, chanting Mariano, like Murph was saying, Mariano. I'm just sitting there being like, wow, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden in the ninth inning, the phone rings and it says, get Daley hot. And now that's when the heart starts just pounding. And I'm just like, oh boy, here we go. Everyone knows what to do on a pitching change. We've all been part of many over our careers. But on this one, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I know when I'm supposed to run out of the gates and, run down to the mound. I'm like, what do I do? So I just I looked at Mike Harkey, who was our bullpen coach. And I'm like, Hark, what do I do? He's like, you stand right next to me until Mariano walks off that field. I'm like, you got it. Done deal.
I remember us standing on the mound and Mo's going through the dugout, giving everybody hugs, and everybody's on their feet and the whole crowd's chanting his name. And I remember you saying, I think we should give him a minute. So I think for however many seconds, we let him do his thing before we started to warm up.
What do you remember about the next pitch? I don't know that how many people were ready for what was going on. Ben Zobrist is the batter. Murph, do you remember kind of starting after that moment? Do you remember kind of starting this game again?
I don't. I didn't remember it was Ben Zobrist. I don't remember if he got it out or if he got a hit. I don't remember any of it.
Well, Matty, I know, knows that he didn't get a hit. What do you remember about getting ready to throw that first pitch?
Yeah, all I'm thinking to myself is like, don't mess this up. I mean, that's all I can do in this moment, right? Is all right. So if I don't get off the mound quickly, with a quick out, then now we're giving up some hits or we're walking, and now, I'm getting booed on his big night, which is the last thing that I'm trying to do. So I just wanted to get off the mound as fast as we could.
Murph, when you see this scene again, when it's replayed, and you see yourself standing there with Derek Jeter, Andy Pettitte, Mariano Rivera on the mound, what I thought was great about that moment is we are witnessing a really intimate moment between three guys who spent a lifetime together, and we all get to watch it. And you're 2 feet away from them as you get to see the scene unfold, all the time now. What are you thinking as you watch it?
I think in the moment I was a little bit more comfortable, but also kind of, glossy-eyed because I was so young and new to the big leagues. But comfortable because I had come up through the organization and I had been around these guys quite a bit. So, now being far removed from that moment and having played with a lot of other teams and organizations and players, I see why these guys are different. They always led by example, quiet, humble leaders, and I think that passed down through the organization.
Matt, in your current role with the Yankees, you do get to interact with some younger players now and then. What do you tell them about what you learned by being a teammate of Mariano Rivera's?
He had a very quiet confidence in who he was, in what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it. His routine was as consistent as you're going to get. And it was the same as Jeter and Pettitte too. They got to the ballpark and they knew what they were going to do and when they were going to do it and why they were doing it. And it was all with the sole purpose of competing that night to get the Yankees a win. And if you do that, you put yourself in really good situation to succeed. So that's the stuff that, I talk about with Mariano, and more than anything, just a tremendous human being who cared about his family and cared about his teammates.
All right, one last one for both of you. How much stuff did you get signed that night? Murph?
Nothing that night, but Mo was gracious enough to sign a jersey and write last to wear 42 on it for everybody.
I have the ball that I used to strike out Ben Zobrist, and obviously it was in Murph's glove. And as we were running off the field, it almost looked to me like he was about to throw it to a fan in the stand. So I'm yelling, Murph, don't do it! And so I grabbed the ball out of his hand. And so once we finally got into the clubhouse, I got that ball authenticated and then signed by Mariano.
Well, Murph, Matt, you guys had the most unique viewpoint for one of the most memorable moments in Yankees history. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and insights. And thank you for watching Bronx Backstories.